Buying a new battery these days can break the bank, but it doesn't have to as long as you know what to look for. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 tips you can use before, during and after a battery purchase to save you money even in the long term. Grab some popcorn. You'd be surprised if I told you that it might not be necessary to replace your battery just yet. You see, an athlete or a sports team can never perform the same on each and every event. There will always be lows influenced by a number of factors like fatigue, weather, or even injury, whereas a good performance can often be the result of an energy boost or a bit of motivation. A lead-acid battery can often behave the same way, where the chemistry just needs to repair or be revived for that next stint. So by charging your battery first, especially if it's less than 2 years old, you might just get away with a couple more months or maybe even a year before having to replace it for a fraction of the cost. If you don't own a charger or you're not able to do it, a reputable battery dealer can certainly do this for you and provide a test result on the state of the battery. Now, what if you've done this step or you passed the point where the battery can be rescued and you know deep down that you'll have to sacrifice that hard-earned holiday money on a new battery? Well, there is good news, or maybe, depending on where you live, but worth giving it a shot. You see, just like you've given up on your battery, someone else gave up on theirs too, had it replaced because they haven't watched this video yet, and it ended up on a battery dealer's shelf, revived with a bit of motivation, and is ready to put back to service. So if you're tight on budget and willing to take the risk, it might be worthwhile shopping around for a reconditioned battery, often up to half the cost of a new one, either on online marketplaces or with a reputable dealer. Who knows, you might just be lucky. Or maybe you're not, and the second-hand thing just doesn't appeal to you. Well, in the battery manufacturing industry, there's this thing called recycling, where up to 98% of lead-acid batteries are recycled. The majority of which, the lead plates as you might have guessed, are purified and almost entirely recycled. The plastic casing cleaned, melted and repurposed, and even the sulfuric acid is neutralized and converted to water and salt, making lead-acid batteries the most recycled consumer products globally. Just some use it or lose it info for all the environmentally conscious petrol heads out there. Should that even be used in the same sentence? Anyway, when purchasing a new battery, it might be required to exchange an old battery, where some dealers may charge extra if you don't, or you might receive a small discount when you do. So make sure to ask when purchasing your next battery. But can you just go ahead and buy the cheapest battery you can find to strap into your car's electrical system? Back in the good old days, when you opened the bonnet, you had an engine and a battery in there. And like you topped up the engine oil, you could top up the battery fluid as well. But as cars evolved and became more sophisticated, the electrical demand on the battery also increased, which meant batteries had to adapt to superior performance and increased lifespan. But I'll spare you the technical jargon, as this can become quite overwhelming. So I'll sum it up for you in 3 different types of automotive lead-acid batteries. The first being standard or regular flooded batteries. Yes, the ones you can top up with distilled water, suitable for your older cars with identifiable engines under the bonnet. Then enhanced flooded batteries, or EFB, usually labeled as maintenance-free, which is partly true because their water loss is very low, but the chambers are still accessible. These are better suited to slightly more modern cars with electronics and even used in basic stop-start vehicles. And then there's absorbed glass matte, or AGM batteries, for sophisticated cars with power-hungry accessories and stop-start systems. When choosing your battery, it's best to replace it with the same type or better, but not the other way around. When it comes to cost, with your vehicle's requirements in mind, save money in the long run with a correct type battery. A standard flooded battery is just not designed to last in a modern vehicle. Speaking of modern, Remember the first mobile phones that came out and how small they eventually became? And that's because they only had to do 3 things: phone, text, and play snakes. But their batteries also lasted ages before needing a charge again. Nowadays we can do almost everything on our phones, from using a calculator to streaming a live event from across the globe. But the battery barely lasts a day. Here's the thing. Their batteries are designed to provide continuous flow of power, unlike car batteries that provide a short burst of power. So another long-term saver is to make it last as long as possible. This means you'll have to look after it and use it for what it was designed for. Luckily for you, we explain how you can do exactly that in this next video.